All right, everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the second iteration of Professor Wumbo's class. Today, we're going to be going over two, maybe three more different things. Not sure exactly how much I'm able to video, but yeah, I'm going to go over we're starting at the basics, right? So we started with droning, and now we're going to go over some basic survival things. All right. So this is going to help your gunfights. This is probably the one that most people are like, how do I kill more people? You know, they're about fragging, right? And yeah, I do think fragging is important because although you can be super strategy oriented, you do still need to be able to execute by actually shooting people at the end of the day. So I don't think that's pretty important to have a foundation on, and then you keep building, and as you build, then you branch out into thinking with your head and using strategies. But for right now, we're gonna start with crosshair placement. Let's get into it. Okay, so go talk about crosshair. Very important to learn and to practice. Afterwards, there's gonna be probably some contests like, Wumbo, like, but I face a bunch of people crouched. Yeah, I get that, but the principle is something you should practice and master, and then after you practice and master it, then you can kind of like adapt based on the scenario. But starting, you should practice, right? So you're probably thinking, well, what are you talking about? How are you talking about crossfire placement? I'm talking about holding standing head height, always being aimed at this position. What you will see if you look at your own gameplay, you look at other people's gameplay, you look at your friends' gameplay, when they are peeking around corners, they're going to have their crosshair here. This is the most typical resting point I see people have their crosshair. What are you aiming at? All right. When someone swings around the corner, they swing you fast peaked, you're aiming at their crotch, at their dick, or at their chest. And it's a one-shot headshot kill in Rainbow Six Siege with any weapons. So they either have to tag them with 3 body shots, or you have to move your crosshair up. And that doesn't take a lot of time. It probably takes like a fraction of a second, right? But it's all about cutting your time to kill by fractions of seconds. And then eventually it makes you have a way faster kill potential, or way higher kill potential, because you need less time to kill people, and that's just a fact, right? So when someone swings you, because it's more often than not they're gonna swing you fast because they want to use their speed, they want that peeker's advantage. You don't already know, peeker's advantage is a mechanic in Siege, where if you are standing at the end of the hallway and I am here and I peek you, I am going to see you before you see me. It used to be that ping exaggerates this aggressively. I don't really notice that it does it too much, but peeker's advantage still exists nonetheless, right? So if you are the person swinging and peeking, you're going to see that other person first. And if you're standing and using your speed, it exaggerates it. Where if you're crouching, you obviously have it, but your speed as a player model is slower, so you're not aggressively using the peeker's advantage mechanic. So if somebody's going to swing you, where should you aim? You should be aiming at their standing head height. That is the most standard peak that you are going to come across. Now, here's the part where people might start contesting me and being like, Wumbo, everybody who I face is crouched. Why should I aim up here? Because then I'm just going to miss, or I'm going to have to do exactly what you said, but just the opposite. And here's what I say to that. If you are in copper, bronze, silver, or even the gold, mid-low gold, right? You have a lot of people that are crouched because they feel safer. Lower elo people and newer players will all crouch a high percentage of the time because they feel safer. They're a smaller target and they make less noise. When you're shift crouching, you make very little noise. You also make very little noise standing, but people don't like that because they feel like they're a bigger target. But here's the issue with that. As you begin to move higher up in the ranks, people do that less and less, and you'll find people swing you with full speed and aggression. And that's because they're using the mechanic that is Peeker's Revenge. And on top of that, they're probably playing a fast operator, like a 3-speed operator, and it's advantageous. We'll probably go over that in another video, but it's advantageous for 3-speed and 2-speed armorers alike to peak you standing and with speed, because that's their strength as operators. As their armor class, that is their strength, to use their speed to peak you before you ever know what's going on, right? So they're going to swing you like this. As people become more confident in their gunplay and they become more confident in the game they are playing, they will begin to swing you standing more and more and more. So, yes, I can acknowledge that a lot of the time you can, if you're in those elos, you're in that category. It's not a bad thing. It's just something we have to factor in when you're going to go out and practice this sort of thing. Is yes, you will have crouch people, but the idea is that you still have to practice the principle of aiming standing head height as a natural resting point. And then once you master it to the point where you're second nature, where you're swinging every single corner and you are at this height, right? And it is so easy to lose this. It's so easy to lose this if you stop thinking about it. It's so easy to lose it and like have it drop to like neck, chest height. It's so easy to lose it. So you have to practice this a lot until it's second nature to you, and then you can go back to adjusting for when people, because but you should plan for to start with the grid, with the statistically best crosshair placement that is around, right? Because headshots will always beat body shots. If you're aiming standing head height and they're aimed at your chest and you guys shoot each other at the same time, guess who fucking dies first? They do, because you were at standing head height and you beat them and you did it. Fucking correct. Look at that. You've done it. So, how do we do this? And this is a lesson that I preached to basically almost all of my students at one point or another. This is something that I had them all fix. And they, again, like in the last video, they heard me in their head. I kept telling them that their aim was sleepy, because like I would watch them play and they know they were practicing on it, and then they would droop, because you know the game just stresses you out. There's a lot of things to think about in Rainbow Six Siege. You got to think about where the teammates are, where your enemies are, how you know, how you're gonna push the site. Is there a person going to push me? A whole bunch of things are constantly in your mind at Rainbow Six Siege. So it's so easy to forget something like proper crosshair placement. And that's why you really have to focus on it. And so every time one of my students did that and I was playing with them, I was like, oh, your aim is sleepy, man. It is drowsy. It is sleeping on the job, dude. Like, what are you aiming at? We call it cooter height, you know? Is what that is. Cooter height. So don't aim cooter height. Be standing head height. All right? You can do it. Practice it. Go through T-hunts and hold this ADS as much as possible and continue holding this the entire way through. Yes, I realize terrorists will be crouched, but when you come across a crouched terrorist, then just use that. Adjust for it. Adjust for the crosshair placement, right? Hey guys, so I just wanted to jump in here and give a quick voiceover to me showing you guys the exercise I'm kind of trying to describe in my last segment. So here we're going into a terrorist hunt, and the main objective for me is to constantly hold standing head height throughout the entire thing. Yes, obviously there are terrorists that do start crouched. There are terrorists that do crouch, just like in regular games. There's people standing, there's people crouched. But our main objective is to constantly hold this standing head height so we know it by heart. So we'll just simply adjust for crouched people if we run into them. There's a couple more things that you do need to keep in mind when you're talking about standing head height, which is elevation. Elevation. You have to adjust for staircases or minor little, platforms, like in Fountain of Border or on Piano and Cafe. Minor places that still have a little bit of elevation change that you have to adjust for when you're holding standing head height. As you continue to run these things, think about it. Just keep thinking about, is the standing head height, did I drop? Like, if you drop, catch yourself in the act and bring it back up to standing head height. Like, you have to consciously focus on this until you have it mastered, and then you can go on from there. And if you crouch or you change your elevation by crouching, proning, rappelling, make sure you adjust for that as well. You can't just crouch. A lot of the time what you'll see is you'll see people crouch and their aim goes with it. Don't let that happen. If you crouch, move your aim up so it stays standing head height, and just keep practicing this principle until you get it 100. As you might see in this clip, something that I wanted to add is that it's not a perfect run. Sometimes I do miss, sometimes I just fucking whiff entirely, right? But I think it's important to show that because you shouldn't put so much stress to have perfect runs every single time. So when you're learning something or when you're just out practicing on yourself, you know, by yourself, don't put so much pressure on yourself. Allow yourself to make mistakes and recognize that, you know, you're working on something and you'll fix it. So, thank you guys very much for tuning in to the second episode. Sorry if I spoke fast in this one. I'm trying to figure out how I want to format this series as I kind of go along. I didn't really like the pacing of the last one. There were a lot of weird jump cuts that kind of just didn't make it flow. So this one's a little more lengthy. Tried less comically and more just strictly informational because I really do enjoy teaching this. If you liked it, if you're ready for more, don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. Like and subscribe, or follow me on any of my socials. If you have any suggestions for what you would like to see from me, maybe perhaps I didn't think about doing it, just drop it in the comment section below. Tell me what you like, what you dislike, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.